The Master Tavern Keeper's History of the Old World. Let me tell you this, neophytes. There is an old saying spoken by the dwarves of the Cragbrow clan of Barak Var that Goldbeard once told me, and one that I feel sums up the mindset of the engineers of the port. There is nothing half so much worth doing as simply messing about in boats. Och, as a longshorer myself, I'm afraid that's all a bit beyond my ken, but each to their own, eh? Fair enough, but suffice it to say, this feeling is the driving force behind what the future holds for the navy of Barak Var, their army of the sea. Oh, yeah, I see. But I think you have teased us enough, Master Tavern Keeper. Please, tell all. How is it you know what the future holds for the navy of this dwarf hold? Well, first of all, know this. I am no prognosticator, but what I have heard does come from a very reliable source, one that I am more than inclined to believe. And it was he that overheard the plans that detail the route that the future will take for Barak Var. And can we take it that this reliable source is your uncle's best friend, Hans Voigt, the Knight's Panther? Indeed. But before I go on, perhaps it is time for a little background on Hans, so that you get a fuller picture of this most interesting man. Hopefully, this will serve to explain how he came to know all he knew, and add some weight to what he told me. Oh, yeah, please continue. I do so like interesting men. Ah, yes, I had heard as much. Oh, yeah. It is all true, I can assure you. Sowieso, now you've mentioned this Hans Voigt many times in passing over the course of this ominously long evening, but all of that we truly know is that he spent a lot of time with the dwarves when he was young, and he travelled and fought alongside your uncle. Indeed. There is much more to him, though. Let's get stuck in, eh? Oh, yes. Get on with it. Yeah. Get on with it, Master Tavern Keeper. Right you are. The lineage of Hans Voigt, Knight's Panther. Well, to start with, know this. Hans was the ward of a dwarf envoy, an ambassador, if you like, based in the distant dwarf capital, Karazakarak, who worked on behalf of its High King, Grundhar Bronze Bandages, who reigned from the year 1440 to around 30 years ago. The king passed away in 1532, if I recall correctly, and was succeeded by the present High King, Hargrim Greybeard, a very different dwarf. But perhaps we'd best leave the latest gossip about him out of this particular conversation. Oh, yeah, let us stick to the point for a change, as they say in Hockland. Indeed. Anyway, it happened that early in Grundhar's reign, Karaz-a-Karak was besieged by the Greenskins. The verdant horde was huge and very well equipped, and such was its breadth and might that the Everpeak was all but cut off from both the rest of Kara's Angkor and any aid. And it was not by accident. They were purposely cut off, and the orcs meant to keep it that way. This achieved, the green mass then threw all they had at the mighty gate of Karazakarak. Warrior, siege engine, and beast were smashed again and again at the gate, but to no avail. The Greenskins did not give up though, and during the times between attacks, they would scour the surrounding mountains and pass to make sure the hold remained isolated. This was their secondary strategy, if you like. If they could not get the dwarves out, then they could at least starve the dwarves out. In spite of the orcs' best efforts, though, the hallowed gates did not fall to either the might nor cunning of the green tide. Neither was the orc horde dispersed by the dwarves' indefatigable defiance. It was simply a stalemate, one that favoured the orcs in the long run. However, the siege was in fact relieved, and help came from a most unexpected quarter. It happened that, up that treacherous winding pass, the one that cuts its way through the World's Edge peaks and leads up to the hallowed pinnacle of mountains, came a very large band of roving Bretonnian errant knights in search of adventure and glory. Young knights, far from home, as is their wont, and eager for the chance to fight some greenskins. This dramatic and unexpected intervention gave the defending dwarves the opportunity to counterattack the invading horde and, having fearsome foes come at the orcs from both the fore as well as the rear, sent the surprised besiegers into flight. Swathes of them cut down as they fled, turning the snow red with blood. In the aftermath, as a way of expressing his gratitude, the new High King, Gruntar, commissioned a rune-inscribed Gromril helm to be made for the leader of the Bretonnians, a young knight by the name of Geoffroy de Montfort, Hans's grandfather. Obviously, this took some time. The helm was eventually given to young Geoffroy back in Bretonnia, after he returned from the Great Crusade in Araby. And do not worry, we will return to that tale too. It was given by a dwarf envoy and his entourage, a dwarf by the name of Brock Goldhorn, a most learned and well-travelled Dowie. Oh, yeah, just a moment please, Master Tavern Keeper. When was all this exactly? Well, I do know that the giving of the helm was a year after the end of the main thrust of the Great Crusade in Araby. So it would have been 1452, I believe. Oh, yeah, I see. Thank you. Please continue, Master Tavern Keeper. I will. After a swift pint, though.